Somewhere footfalls echo in a damp alley as crooks make off with the loot. Somewhere Mr. Met silently weeps in an empty locker room. Somewhere an 18-hour brawl enters its last hour. The time has come again for the Exile. I'm your host, Daniel P. Finney, a proud former member of the Fourth Estate, turned away and cashiered by corporate media. I survived the only way I ever have, by seeking the truth and telling stories. Today we have an hour-plus conversation with my good friend, Memphis Paul, who will be joining us by telephone shortly. I want to remind everyone that we are a production of Blue Pill Crow LLC, and you can find this podcast as well as commentary on the news, sports, and the nation at paragraphstacker.com. Please drop by, make a donation to keep this continuity and content coming to you. I remind you again that I'm out of work and the job search continues to produce no fruit. And I will be making some tough decisions in the days ahead about how to proceed with my future. Anyway, here is a conversation with my best friend, and I hope that you have as much fun with it as I do. So let's get to it. What's on your mind, Paul? It's been another exciting week of COVID and whatnot. You've changed offices, not careers, just offices. You're still sort of working for the same people, but working for new people. What's going on?
Yeah. You know, we have this COVID thing that has turned things on its ear, and it's a reminder of how set in our ways we are. This simple act of distancing ourselves and putting a mask on, washing our hands, it feels just uncomfortable. Not like these are hard tasks. It's just hard to reorient ourselves and our patterns. And I'm reminded of that in this new job. It's an office that's maybe literally 5 minutes away from my old office, but I've taken like 3 different routes, road routes, into the office.
Are you trying to avoid assassinations?
Yeah, it's like I'm someone in the Americans that doesn't want to be tailed or.
Right. How many times have you gone to the old office by mistake?
I haven't. I've not done that. We've joked about doing that, but I've not yet done that. I've just taken different routes into the office.
I did that. Our old shop, or my old shop, moved literally 5 blocks down the street from an old building that they owned to a place they rented. And I went to the old shop a couple of times. Not many times, but a couple of times. It was one of those mornings where I hadn't slept well and just didn't bother to have breakfast or something. I wasn't quite awake, and I was like, oh yeah, we moved.
Yeah, you know, that Lizard Street Leaper, you know, wasn't
the Locust Street Leap, and there was an actual guy from marketing wearing a frog costume that we paid for. They laid that guy off, or maybe he left on his own. And I remember when we moved, they were talking about how we were going to be packed in there like sardines, and we were not going to be able to have enough elbow room, so we could only bring 2 boxes of paperwork or materials or whatever. And now, you know, you could go into my old shop, and if you went in there with like a Nerf cannon, one of those ones that just shoot darts constantly, you would have to schedule a day where you could find like more than 8 people in there, and that's pre-COVID. Now post-COVID, I'm out, so that's one less person to take a dart for the team.
Those guns that shoot the shirts and so forth.
T-shirt cannon, yeah, sure.
like if you're lucky enough to be within the bubble, the NBA bubble, you're just going to have a whole wardrobe of outfits and whatever is shot out of those cannons. Because
Yeah, I mean that by the
it's
end of it, by
tricky.
the end of that bubble period, they're gonna be fine for COVID, but they'll be like rotting hot dogs, from the hot dog cannon, and the stench of stale beer that just it went bad in the kegs because there's no one there to buy it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, it's like, what do we have? What do we have in the back storeroom? We could fire up a kit, a testing kit or PPP or PPE, excuse me, a gown.
I wonder how that's going to work. Like, because I think they've got the floor divided up so there's multiple games going on at the same time.
Yeah.
I wonder like if like the one team is just starting their game up and there's all the pyrotechnics and flashing lights and stuff, and another game's like in the third quarter. Won't that be distracting? When they're playing when the fireworks go off and the smoke drifts over into the other game.
Uh, yeah. The bubble has its own set of businesses. So surely they've got the bubble strip club. So that'll be very confusing to them. It's like, hey baby, I hear you had a double tonight. So, no, my game hasn't happened yet. Who have you been talking to?
Didn't somebody get in trouble
very,
because they got a pass to leave the bubble for some reason, and then they while they were outside the bubble they went to a gentleman's club.
but that was the exciting story, exciting sports story of the last week for me. Lou Williams, the sixth man of the Clippers, a family member passed away. He was given a exclusion to leave the bubble, and one of his unthinking friends, a rapper, tweeted out some images from this gentleman's club, and it's like, yeah, that's not allowed. You really need to keep your P's and Q's close at hand, and anything else you'd rub up against someone at these establishments. So stick to the approved vendors. With the approved vendor list, just like the drugs you can take.
Do you think there's a weed dispensary in the bubble?
I would think there would need to be, as well as the car outfitter to hide the weed and your firearms.
Sure.
Fake bottomed bottles.
Right. The Barry Switzer's probably got a deal on this. Like,
I mean, that would have had to have been worked out with the Players Association
right,
of the league.
Right.
Those things need to be just hammered out.
I don't know about you, but when I'm grieving a family member, the thing that really helps me process that sadness is a good trip to the strip club.
Putting your head on a soft pillow or just two pillows.
We've gone far afield here, so you've got this new office. You figured out where the restroom is, I take it.
Yeah. I guess the point was COVID has got us all discombobulated, and this is a somewhat minor change. I'm dealing with some of the same people, but yeah, figuring the restroom, figuring what the break room has, what it doesn't have compared to the old break room. How do I get there? What are the close by restaurants? Even if you know where the restaurant is, it's like, what road do you take to get there and back? It's like a Bob Dylan song or a Simon and Garfunkel song. They had different workplaces, and it inspired their music.
It was a Bob Dylan song. How many roads must a man walk down to get a decent Subway sandwich?
Yeah, like a Rolling Stone. The wind's blowing, and I can't really see where the KFC is because of the sleet and the fog.
Sure. Well, that is trouble. I of course remain unemployed, and thus depend on moments like this to survive the crushing boredom coupled with overwhelming anxiety that goes along with being unemployed in a pandemic and apparently having no skills whatsoever useful to the modern job market. So I paid a fancy company to look at my resume, give feedback, and then they'll rewrite it for me. Okay. So I did this, and the feedback file was just, it was like, being taken outside and just whipped like your mama made you go get the Switch yourself, kind of whipped. Which most modern kids listening to this podcast, of which I don't think there are any, wouldn't understand that. But back in the day, old school parents like mine, they would, the ultimate threat was you had to go get a Switch, which was a fresh, still green piece of tree, in which you would take a few blows to the rear end with for your misgivings and misdeeds.
The modern child is like Switch. Is that like TikTok? Is that the
Nintendo version Switch? Yeah.
That's right. There is a
like what? You're not going to take my Switch away. I'll report you to DHS.
I feel like Switch could be the American version of TikTok that doesn't have like the Chinese encryption where they're spying on us and getting our state secrets.
So,
because they'll do that.
I don't think they have to spy on us. We probably posted them to Instagram. So I got the feedback from this company, and it was really, really off-putting. And instead of getting into this right now, I'm going to take a break. We're going to play a song, and then we will get into this in a minute. So we'll be back with Memphis Paul and me and my crushing depression.
sheets, then all DRAM. It was all just a scam by Intel, man. Look, the plan fell through in 2002. I still give big ups to the crew. They lost the battle to the double data rate, but make no mistake, it wasn't that great.
What a bad plan was the N64. It might have had character galore, but no good titles were up in the store. SNES, no rock, TV sets, while it was trying to gain respect. Rumble packs ain't nothing when you got something like Donkey Kong Country. Man, it was out of sight, and don't even try to start to think about taking me out on Mario Kart. We got the upbeat style with upgrade RAM packs and old school classics. Consoles that claim respect. ColecoVision, Atari 2600 and MES. And while the new kids try and ground on the underground, with the hardcore beats, I know the names. Burning Contra, Pong, and Combat. Galaga, Missile Command, Pac-Man, and that's that.
That was Mr. Spastic with the song Upbeat Style, an 8-bit, 16-bit music collection. Now back to our heroes, Dan and Paul. Welcome back to more of our conversation with Memphis Paul, the Sultan of Spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, the Sultan of Spreadsheets. Say that 5 times fast. 5 times fast. I can't say anything right now, Paul. I'm drunk.
Spreadsheets.
I'm drunk on iced tea.
Spreadsheets are very exciting to think about, so it's natural.
Sure. It's like a tantalizing burlesque show.
It is.
Every spreadsheet I've ever been in has been just like
Filled with wonder.
it's like that scene when Phoebe Cates gets out of the pool in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's just every time a spreadsheet.
I feel like the spreadsheets you've been in, especially, are like some Iowa Department of Safety and the statistics about boat accidents.
Boy, you're really
on lakes versus rivers. It's like just really exciting stuff, just apart from the technical aspect of the spreadsheet.
right. The two that I remember having to ask your help with from the old shop was the boating accidents one,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was railroad crossing fatalities. And I think the worst one only had like 8, or it was a very small number over a very long number of years. So yeah, it truly was like no other. So we were talking about before the break that I got feedback on my resume from one of these fancy professional companies, and their headline was, "I come across as more of a doer rather than an achiever." And this sort of pissed me off because I don't understand the distinction. It is implied, of course, that I am as a doer not as worthy an employee as a achiever, but my argument is without doers you can't have anything done. You need people to get stuff done, and that's what I've done for almost 30 years. Why? What in the hell does this mean? I don't know. What do you think it means, Paul? Are you a doer or are you an achiever?
It feels like two words that mean the same thing.
So what you're saying is that if I gave you a goal and I said, Paul, I need you to crank out 10 spreadsheets by the end of the day, and then you cranked out those 10 spreadsheets under budget and on time at the quality that either met or exceed your organizational standards, that you would have both done that work and achieved your goal.
I would hope so. I don't know if I can take this fact you presented to me about getting ahead and confront my boss like, oh, I feel like you've asked me to do something. I feel like I want to achieve something instead, and really kind of like, whoa, this Paul Russell's a real go-getter. He's an achiever. I didn't suspect that of him.
He's gonna pile a promotion on you and a lot more cash. Is that how it's gonna go?
I'm gonna see what we got in our budget for this department. I'm gonna see if I can introduce him to my daughter.
Yeah, open up the dowry.
I'm gonna get my will out and make some adjustments here. Insert this guy in here.
I think, and I've told you this before, I think that the people who would use the phrase doer versus achiever are the same kind of jerks who would say lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. And they are the kind of people who only want leaders, don't understand why followers are valuable, and they're asking everyone to get out of the way. But you can't have an army of all generals. You need some sergeants, corporals, and privates to get just stuff done. And if that's the complaint is from potential employers, is that I got stuff done, I will wear that. But it's not really a complaint from employers. It's a algorithm. And I know that you're a math guy, and I know that you are a big fan of advanced statistics in baseball books.
Yeah.
But when the obituary for America is written, the cause of death will not be Donald Trump or the COVID or global warming or the old ones like greed and hubris. The cause of death will be algorithms. The algorithms from Facebook and the algorithm from Twitter and the algorithm from Google, and the ones that, because what these algorithms have done has reduced every art, every action that we take as human beings into something that we have to either pander to or trick to get what we do as humans, the work that we do, in front of an algorithm that will decide whether or not we should be allowed to live. Like, we've taken the old actuary tables where they're like, okay, you're 50 and you're obese and you're a smoker, we have a pretty good chance that you're going to die at 66. When they're writing the life insurance policy, they've taken that to the extreme, and now it's like, you don't deserve to work unless you're a doer and achiever, and here's how we figured the math out.
There is algorithms at work in terms of like who do we want to hire, what stocks we want to buy and sell, and at what price point. This idea of America dying, that's true. Rome died. England died.
I don't think there were anybody taking selfies as Rome burned, though. I think that's what's really off-putting about this decline of our empire. Like, I get it. Like, England, the sun finally set on their empire, and now they're just a noisy little island of British racists, I guess. But the fact that we're just sort of post it to Instagram, and I don't know. I'm just sad. You would think that your life and your career and your accomplishments, one might even venture to say achievements, adds up to, if not something meaningful, something to be respected. And what it ends up being is just another effort to trick people into some kind of stupid jargon and ugh.
Well, the Romans used to go out and conquer their neighbors, and then they enslaved those conquered people, and they became kind of lazy and stopped pushing the boat out. The English, they stopped achieving. They brought the money back home and had little supper clubs and stopped working. every civilization has a life cycle, and
I'm fine with that. Like, can we have tea time? Not golf tea, but like actual tea time. Like, all right, it's time to have tea, and everybody just sits down and has a cup of tea or two, and some biscuits, some crumpets, maybe a scone. I like a nice scone, and go back to work. Or like, I don't know if the siesta is in effect in Latinx societies.
yeah, it's just so hot in the middle part of the day. You just take a break. You work later in the evening.
Yeah, if that's a real thing, I don't know if it
Yeah.
is. It's just something
Yeah,
that we've
yeah.
always heard. I've heard that my whole life, but it's probably a lie because what do I know? I've not been to I've not been to Spain or any of the Spanish-speaking countries that are in America and Central America, or in Mexico, Central America. But that's a great idea. If they have actual siestas, I'd get behind that. I would gladly work like 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 if I got a nice 30
Nap in
minute.
between.
Yeah, 30-minute. Wake me up slowly. Whatever. Lots of other countries don't work as much as we do.
We do work very hard. It's surprising to say that because the media or the corporate overlords are like, oh, we're not getting the work out of our employees. That's not true compared to like European countries that have 4 weeks of vacation a year and leave for families and that kind of stuff.
In St. Louis, we used to joke, the union used to joke that every meeting ended with editors saying, reporters must be made to work harder. And I think that's true for every workplace in America, where the achievers have all gathered up in a room and say, the doers must be made to work harder.
Right. The achievers will make the doers do more stuff.
Yeah.
That's key.
The achievers are the kind of people that, this is a phrase from my grandma, the kind of people who have a key to the executive washroom, but they don't wash their hands before they leave. That's my theory.
Well, eventually there's an end to the gravy boat, and you kind of have to chip the coin, scrape a little edge off the coin to have everything as good as it used to be, and eventually...
I feel like these are all metaphors that come from listening to soccer. Like there's an end to the gravy boat, chipping the coin. Like, okay, Nigel, what else you got for me? Got that up the pitch, eh?
I'm just saying the Chinese will take over after us, and
yeah, that sounds good.
Maybe it'll be good for a while.
Who knows? I mean, I assume the Chinese like to make money, so I bet they have a better healthcare system.
They eat a lot of vegetables.
That's true. A lot of vegetables, a lot of fish.
Yeah.
So, be a big turnaround. But I don't know. I feel like they come here and they're like, yeah, we own McDonald's now. So, who knows? I'm sure it'll all be fine.
I'm optimistic.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll be back with Memphis Paul.
When you're swinging, when you're swinging, when you're swinging, 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 swinging. When you're swinging. Let's go swinging. When you're swinging through the trees. You're the monkey for me. Only me.
6 bananas and a cherry, peanut butter on a stick of celery. This is too much.
The weird continues to march on. That was the band Sports Bra. The song is untitled. Now more with me and Memphis Paul. All right, we're back with our interview with the great Memphis Paul, Sultan of Spreadsheets, the King of Queen City. I don't know, is Memphis Queen City, Paul?
It's a Bluff City.
Bluff City.
There's a Memphis Queen that's a steamboat.
Yeah.
That, or there was not a jazz, but a blues singer on Beale Street who may have been Memphis Queen.
Like a RuPaul kind of act, or what are we talking about here?
It was an actual woman in the old-fashioned sense of the word.
I'm not touching that. I got nothing to. I still don't have a job, so I got nothing to say about what that might mean. But I understand what you're saying.
I never heard her sing, but she did some advertising for a bail bondsman or a lawyer, and she was like, "Take it from Ruby, whoever, Memphis Queen, Beale Street. You can trust this lawyer or bail bondsman."
The hockey team, one of the hockey teams here in Des Moines, is sponsored by a bail bondsman, and I always find that hilarious. There's no reason for it other than the guy really likes hockey, but
they get in fights a lot too.
They do. It's a fighting league. It's a low, junior A hockey team, the Des Moines Buccaneers. I enjoy it. If I'm going to go see a hockey game, which is about a once in 15-year experience, this is where I'd prefer to go because it's kind of a dumpy arena that looks very much like the Slapshot set.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's fun to watch. If we're ever allowed to travel again, if you come up in the fall, or we'll go see one of the Bucks games.
Yeah, it sounds very uncertain. Dan, this fantasy of seeing a hockey game in a dumpy arena.
Yeah.
Which I never thought. Hey, Paul, that'll one day be a fantasy to just dream that could happen, but that would involve me to travel. Tennessee and Iowa would have to both not be hot spots.
Right.
And the fact that these meat packing plants, which are packed with people and it's cold and moist.
Sure.
That feels like a minor league hockey stadium, to be fair, without the delicious meat products, although the Iowa chops, maybe they do have...
they're called what are they called now? They have a different name, but I find that team to be boring to watch.
I'm just saying, they used to have meat, at least...
yeah, they did.
As a logo.
They have a new affiliation, and I have had for some time, but I can't even remember.
This future you imagine of people traveling and seeing a hockey game, it sounds
the idea that I might be able to hang out with my best friend again is a kind of tragic fantasy.
It's sad, but that's just the way of things.
The idea of sitting by the pool drinking sangria and enjoying a good book, or putting on some agreeable Marty Robbins Gunfighter Ballads album is...
He's socially distanced.
Oh, he's still alive?
I'm just saying, a lot of his songs...
Yeah.
He's in a gunfight. Those guys are spaced out.
Yeah, at least 6 feet.
All day, trace the barren waste without the taste of water. That's just him. He's in the desert. That's distant.
Fair.
Unless the horse... Dan, can't you see that great big tree? The horse, Dan, unless he has COVID, there's some safety there. I don't think you have to wear a mask in that circumstance. And
The horse
he's
might
tra-
have to wear a mask.
he's probably looking for water so that he can wash his hands for 20 seconds. So, again, he was a man of the future that would adapt to this age of COVID.
Well, I would never turn my back on Marty Robbins, but you're right. It is a wild and crazy fantasy that we might be able to hang out and do activities. If only we had known that the last time we got together was the last time we got together, we would have had a better time.
I feel that it's funny you say that. Like, if we'd known then what we know now, I feel like I would have gone to the bar more, because that's not allowed now.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have done more of, because I'm kind of a socially isolated guy, but I think I would have traveled more. I would have just sucked it up and, paid a couple extra gallons of gas and, visited Memphis or, gone to ballparks or whatever. I don't know. I would have just, I don't mind the part where you're asked to stay home and just, not interact with people. That's my favorite part. But the things that I do miss, whether it was like my parents' 4th of July thing or, a trip visit from you, I think I would have. I would think I would have put some kind of special importance on that. I don't know. Maybe it's for the best that you don't know how great those things are when you're doing it. Otherwise, you'd start to overthink it and try to make every day Adventureland, and that's no way to live either. So who knows?
You speak of this quality of doing things. It's funny, not funny, haha, but
sure.
There's a lot of people out of work. You're aware of this. With your own
I have a passing familiarity of that theme. Yes.
And then there's people that are working where it's like, we let go a bunch of people in our department, or they left and we didn't replace them. One of the two. And so I'm one of the lucky few in a job, and I do feel lucky for that. But I'm just working nonstop.
Sure.
I'd love a vacation or a break. You've got nothing but free time, but it's hard to enjoy it when you're thinking about, well, gosh, I wish I was spending some of this free time in a job that would be, paying me money and picking up the cost of my any medical needs I might have, or pills, that kind of stuff. It is hard to find that balance in life, and it's hard to be thinking about it too much. Like,
well, it is very.
We've talked about the stuff you've got in your apartment. That's like fun books to read and so forth, but it's hard to really dig into it when life is in an uncertain phase for all of us. But
it's hard to enjoy escapism when you're already living in an apocalyptic era. I think that the thing that I want most, and is as much as I'd like to blame the current administration or whatever, and maybe there was mishandling and things that I'm not fully versed on because I've zoned out on news, but the thing that I would like most to return to daily life is a sense of middle ground. And I was complaining about this well before the pandemic, but here are the options. You can have a job, but you'll just work until you die, or you can not have a job and die worrying about getting one. There's got to be life in between those two phrases, and we're both on the opposite ends of the, yarn, so to speak. And it's not fun. Nobody's out here having a great time.
We spoke outside the podcast. It's like, I'm not having a tremendous amount of fun. You're not having fun. Who's having fun right now in this? I'm not sure that anyone is. Even these people, these basketball players in the bubble.
What about the Achievers, Paul? Are the Achievers having a good time?
Probably.
Yeah.
They're probably the ones that are having fun.
Yeah.
And we're not one of those folks, so that's
all hail the Achievers.
That's a problem that we have, just a personal problem. But like these NBA players, I think they've been counseled to be like, hey, don't. Which it's easy, it's all relative, one's experience.
Don't rock the boat inside the bubble.
Like, yeah, this bubble-approved strip club that I'm not seeing the variety I'm used to, and it's like, look, you're an athletic young millionaire being paid to play basketball. Just maybe don't carp about the things that are minor conveniences in a time of pandemic. Just kind of keep that to yourself for now.
I can see the NBA players are lined up at the dispensary, and I'm like, I never had to wait this long to get my weed. It's like, everybody's here. Yeah, there's not enough. Where's the Pineapple Express bud? It's like, that's pretty rare.
The Turkish kush,
The Turkish, is that Turkish kush? I feel like if you've got to be careful where you order a Turkish kush, because if you're at the dispensary, maybe you get like some really amazing mellowing weed. But if you were to order the Turkish kush at a restaurant, some guys from the kitchen just come out and beat the shit out of you.
Like, don't talk about my wife like
I don't want to hear that kind of talk in here, mister.
Yeah.
It's like some kind of mob code. It's like, yeah, I'm here for the Turkish kush. Then you're knifed 4 times. Your body's found down by the river.
If I've offended someone, I apologize, and I'm not actually the king of Tennessee. It's the king of Cincinnati.
Oh,
send your hit squad there.
It's Paul from Cincinnati. Yeah, Paul from Cincinnati.
I'm a king of pharmaceuticals, not spreadsheets.
Do you know John from Cincinnati?
I do love that show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that until we have a full hour to devote
to John from Cincinnati.
To that beloved.
Have you rewatched? Have you at least rewatched it yet?
I've watched like the first 6 or 7 episodes. It starts to trail at that point because I feel like they saw the writing on the wall. Like, we're not going to get picked up or reviewed.
Well,
renewed. He finds this woman that's there close to the set that sells Amway, or I guess it's Amway, because the actors start going to her and saying she's got great roses and a lot of good products in here. It kind of goes off the rails.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that show. I binged it on your recommendation. But here again is another tragedy of COVID, is that I subscribe to that service, the HBO Max, and I'm going to have to let it go because Congress didn't pass the Heroes 2 bill or CARES 2 Act in time. So I get one more paycheck with the advanced employment, and then I'm out in the wind. So a lot of my streaming services are going away.
There was a delay in getting the transition
sure
exactly lined up. They're working on a bill where the letters spell out "things are great!" ! And they're just trying to figure out those words.
They keep fighting with the White House because they want to call it the America's already great again, and we don't really need this, but we're doing it because we're nice act.
All those words in the right order to spell that out, it just takes time.
I try very hard to avoid political stories on the podcast because one, politics just makes me angry. The just base stupidity and
Sure.
Your team, my team behavior. It's just ridiculous. But I'm especially angered by it now because I'm one of those 33 odd million Americans who are out of work, and I depend on these stimulus bills, and the way that people like me are talked about by members of Congress is so infuriating. This notion that I don't want to work because I'm making such good money on unemployment is so maddening to me that, I struggle to talk about it without delving into violent hyperbole, which would be a mistake because I don't want to have to dance with the Secret Service or the FBI, but it's just so maddening and basely insulting. It's almost as insulting as doers versus achievers.
Yeah.
Which would be fine if there was like a doer's ice cream and an achiever's ice cream, and you could taste them both and be like, you know what? I'm a doer's guy. You know what?
I think there's a brand of alcohol called Dewar's, Dewer.
I think that's right. I've heard that I've heard that ordered place, Dewar's and whatever.
That'll be my drink of this episode.
Oh,
I don't know what a Dewar's is, but it is a kind of alcohol, so we're just gonna stick with that.
How would you prepare it?
See, I don't even know. I don't even know what Dewar's is. Is it a whiskey? Is it a gin?
Three fingers of Dewar's, and
at least 3 fingers. Yeah.
And to just pour it down as fast as you can.
Three fingers and a toe.
And a toe.
If the bottle's far away, you might have to reach with your toe to get it. Yeah.
Now, are you doing this with just ice out of the freezer, or are you going to get one of those giant cubes?
I might shake it. I might stir it. I might muddle it.
Wait a minute, muddle it?
Yeah.
What's that?
Muddle. It's like it's a fancy stick that you use to crush or slightly crush the garnish.
Oh.
If it calls for berries or something like that, you don't have to puree it in a blender. You just crush it a little bit. And
are those the things with the they're like glass, but they have like a ball on the end?
Yeah, it's like a mortar and pestle type.
Yeah. My parents had those. I had no idea what they were.
Did they have like a liquor cabinet type setup?
Yeah, my Finney parents, they did. Yeah.
A drinks caddy or something?
Yeah, they didn't have that, but they had alcohol around the house. They were.
I always loved that scene from Edward Scissorhands.
I don't know if I can support this take, Paul.
Have you seen Edward Scissorhands?
It's a very stupid movie.
Well, setting the entire movie aside.
All right.
He has some. I guess his father dies, and he's left to escape the castle, and he runs into Winona Ryder, who's very hot.
Sure.
And they bring him into their home, and the father tries to settle him down in the basement where there's a little mini bar, like a little bar stool and a small bar itself.
Dude, all of my friends have that in their houses.
Yeah, I like that. It's fancy.
If you came to visit, which you're not allowed to because you'll kill us all, or I'll kill you or whatever because of the COVID. But my friend Lou, he's got a basement bar. My friend Grant, who's Lou's brother, has a bar in his house. A lot of my friends have bars in their houses. I think that's a fairly common thing nowadays.
I bet they're getting a lot of good use right now with the bars closed.
I bet it is. Lou has more than one bar actually. He has an acreage in Winterset, and he's got a bar in the basement of his house, and he's got a bar in the shed where he does a lot of his I guess it is work shed or whatever. So
that feels dangerous. How many power tools or saws or anything like that's around this?
The only thing I can tell you about Lou, if there was a guy that I would trust to power saw while intoxicated, it would be my buddy Lou. So
Good.
There you go. All right, we'll be back for one more segment with Memphis Paul. That was Stomps and Claps by the artist Scott Holmes, which reminded me vaguely of the Icicerettes drum corps team here in Des Moines. Anyway, here's more with Memphis Paul. We're back with Memphis Paul, who actually lives in Cincinnati. We established in the last segment because he said something hateful.
Yeah, Turkish kush, I've discovered is a slur of some kind.
Could be. It is now. It is now.
It could be.
So I want to talk about baseball. I know your interest in baseball has waned with your interest in life outside of accounting, but the baseball season has started, and I've watched several games because the Yankees got some national TV time.
Sure.
And living in the Midwest, I'm usually stuck with the Cardinals and or the Cubs, which those are fine teams. I'm just a Yankees fan. And it's not like the old days where we got the Braves on TBS every day.
Right.
So I've been watching these games, and the first night they played it was Yankees Nationals in Washington, and that was fine. I was not as interested in the endless discussion about how there was no crowd there as the people who were broadcasting the game were. Like, they kept talking about it, and I'm like, idiots, I can see there's no crowd. And I'm vaguely aware that there aren't allowed to be crowds like that right now. In fact, if you could just not focus on it so much, that'd be great, because I'm missing the joy of the game because you keep reminding me we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Sports is meant to be an escape from like whatever real thing is happening that we'd rather not focus on for at least the amount of time that the sporting event's happening for.
Exactly. Like, sports are unscripted dramas. It's basically improv theater. It's like, here are a set of rules and circumstances. Now, let's see what happens. And I enjoy baseball probably more than most sports, even though it's crap to watch on television. But one of the reasons it's crap to watch on television is broadcasters are morons. They say the same thing over and over again. I am not a fan of Alex Rodriguez, and this came out on the last episode. I don't know how somebody as scummy as that guy got to be the face of baseball broadcasting. But, you know, Americans have short memories, whatever. He's forgiven, move on. But he's not good. Like, he keeps... The game that he did the other night, he kept saying over and over and over again, he kept saying, it's now a sprint and not a marathon. It's a sprint, not a marathon. I get it, man. It's a 60-game season. I'm read up on that. I get that games are more important, like a 5-game losing streak could knock you out of contention. I get it. It's more like an NBA season. I'm fine with it. But you've expanded the playoffs to now like 54% of the teams are going to make the playoffs anyway. So let's just settle down and watch the games, call the games if you must. But I tell you what I want more in sports than anything else is like, I don't know if TVs have this anymore, but you remember SAP buttons on old TVs?
What does that allow you to do?
Well, on some TVs it allowed you to listen to the Spanish thing, but it also, and this is what I want. I'm going to be able to press that button, and I just want to be able to hear the actual ambient noise of the game.
Yeah.
That's it. I would pay extra for a network that just let me watch the game. Like, I watched a whole high school game on Facebook Live this year, and it was just one camera from behind home plate, and you couldn't always tell what was happening, but it was fine. It was fun. You could hear the announcers, you could hear the players, hear the bats and the gloves and whatever. I would pay extra to have that service than the service where these nitwits just keep talking.
Well, I have two responses to this take.
The microphone is yours, buddy.
I wouldn't mind a broadcast that was Madonna and Carmen Electra. It's the A-Rod exes discussing the baseball game.
I don't know that he was ever linked to Carmen Electra.
That's Rodman.
Yeah.
Never mind. Well,
I wouldn't mind
still,
Dennis Rodman broadcasting a game.
Sure.
Because I think
Still,
the nonsensical poetry that would come out of his mouth would be fine.
Him and the North Korean dictator.
Kim
Talking baseball.
He's like, because he was on that Last Dance documentary, which you refused to watch. Not Kim Jong-un, but Rodman. And Rodman was like barely intelligible. Not stupid, I don't mean that, but he didn't talk loud. He kind of whisper talked. I could listen to that, he's whispering like, yeah, there's a line drive down the first base ground. Then Kim Jong-un's like, death to all Americans! Death to all Americans! Cano slides into third! Death to all Americans!
Maybe the North Korean dictator's media guys like, he's an expert baseball player. He had 504 homers in his first 505 attempts.
Well, and then that guy's executed because he said 504 out of 505. The great dictator did not miss any home run opportunities.
Yeah.
Here's the other baseball take, Paul. Wait, you had two responses to that. Was there another response? Is it gone now?
I forget what it was, but that's fine.
Yeah. I want to back up and say that death to all Americans thing was not an attempt to do an accent. It was just how I was doing it. It was in no way meant to offend
North Korea or
fans.
Any companies that might endorse this podcast from North Korea.
Oh, or the fan. Are there companies in North Korea?
Well, there are. Hands up.
Or just fans of the North Korean dictator as a whole.
Sure.
I'm not making fun of him. I respect him as much as I respect everything that I'm supposed to be respected as the woke achievers go. But the other thing about baseball now, which is weird, is like some stadiums, not all of them, are putting in like cardboard cutouts of fans. People buy these and then they upload a picture and they make it and they put them in the stands behind home plate so people can see it. And the thing that I found was funny, I shared with by text. Chipper Jones, the great Atlanta Braves third baseman, shortstop, and outfielder, who just destroyed Mets pitching at Shea Stadium in particular, who loved playing at Shea, which was kind of a dump, so much that he named his daughter Shay. So I don't know if he's trolling the Mets or if he's just
Oh, definitely.
he got a cardboard cutout of him and his son together, and it's behind home plate at whatever it is, City Field or wherever the Mets play now. And I just love this. Like, Chipper Jones is haunting them from beyond the Hall of Fame.
He would hit 8 to 10 homers in the month of September, whatever the last month of regular season.
Yeah, 6 of them would be against the Mets.
Right, every season it was like clockwork. There's not a lot of predictability in sports one year to the next, but this was one of those rare instances where it was just automatic. He would kill them.
Well, beyond these cardboard things now, they're also doing virtual fans. Like apparently Fox or somebody has the technology in which they can just insert fans, like, you know, video game style fans into the seats. I've not seen this, but the Yankees radio announcers were talking about it, and they were kind of creeped out by it. If they're going to do that, though, I want them to go all the way. Like, I want Fox to put, like, Peter Griffin from Family Guy in the stands and Bob from Bob's Burger in the stands, you know, Doctor Who, Rick and Morty. I want those guys in the stands. Like, really sell out on it.
Fox was big on this. I remember there was, like, some TV series that was meant to be the like TV version of that. It was a movie where the guy was a Boston Red Sox fan and he dates this woman. They get involved, but he's just too much into the Red Sox, and it creates friction in the relationship. And so one postseason they had them in the stands. It's like, oh look, it's the stars of this other property we're involved with.
I think that was Pitch Perfect or Perfect Pitch.
Yes, with the late night talk show host.
Yeah, it was before he got that gig, and that was a rip-off of a British film that was about
Arsenal.
Was it about Arsenal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know they had to remake it. I think that was about 2004, and they had to remake it because the Red Sox beat the Yankees and then won the World Series in 2004, and they had to remake the ending to reflect that.
Yeah.
But whatever. You've brought Jimmy Fallon into my podcast, Paul.
They could virtually have those stars there. Like,
sure.
Look, we virtually have these guys for this other thing we're doing. Check that out.
Right. Just stack up a bunch of Funko Pops. I don't know. Here's the other thing they have. They have the ambient noise that apparently is coming from some video game that's sponsored by MLB. Yeah. And they add and lower the pitch based on what's happening in the game. I want to know if when the Astros come to a visiting field, if they're going to pump in like booze. You know, like if the scoreboard stadium would be like cheaters, trash can bangers. You know, I want to know if they're going to do that.
The rally monkey celebration for the A's or whatever those things they bang together.
That was the Angels, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Dodgers. I think they were the first one to have this cardboard cutout idea because it's pointless and has nothing to do with baseball. Of course, the Dodgers came up with it.
Yeah, it feels Hollywood.
Yeah, it's empty. It's an empty gesture. I want to know, do those cardboard cutouts, do like the people who bought them, do they get a cold Dodger dog in the mail? Do the cutouts show up in the 4th inning and leave in the 7th inning so they can beat the traffic on the I-90 or whatever the road is, on the 405?
Is it the same people that own the Star Registry? You know, like you want to buy a Alpha Centauri 12,000?
Yeah. It's no, I don't know. Like, do the tour buses, if they were still running, do they go by like, oh, this is where the cardboard cutout of Jimmy Cagney was made that sits at the Dodgers game now?
Well, they could have the autonomous vehicles drop off the cardboard cutouts.
Oh, they're drone strikes of cardboard cutouts. Like,
No, just those Tesla cars that drive themselves.
is there a stadium employee that has to load one of those cardboard cutouts of a naked man on an RC controlled car and have it drive out into the middle of the field, and then one of the players has to attack it to get it off TV?
That or is it Milwaukee? The people that have the little race where they'll have a fan and he's got like a 60-yard head start.
Well, they're doing that now. They're doing that now with actual sausages. They're putting them on like a fork, and they're putting them in the back of an RC car, and they're like, oh, the bratwurst is, the bratwurst fell off the car. I don't know what the rules are on this.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the rally chipmunk from the Cardinals 2006. So, these are the things we got to be thinking about, because we can't just enjoy the games.
Well, I don't know if you've heard this. There's no fans in the stands now. So
You know what is similar? There's no fans in the stands, and there's no one listening to this podcast. So it's all a wash.
Yeah.
Paul, my friend, this was fun. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend. And to you, our listeners, as always, behave and be kind.